Oh, yeah. Ladies and gentlemen, what's up? Coming back at you once again. It is episode 183 of Keepin It Rio, the world's famous, world's most favorite podcast. And the hits keep coming, guys. I keep getting these amazing guests to come and talk to me. And today is going to be absolutely amazing. It's going to be no different. We're going to continue the theme of having badass guests. And my guest today is not just one of the coolest personalities, one of the most laid back guys in the industry, but he's also built something that is very beneficial to all of us. And for that, I felt like it would be very nice to speak with my friend, Mr. Ryan Holliday, the CEO, or CRO, president, and co-founder of IINK. So, Ryan, welcome to the show, my friend. How are you doing today?
Doing great, Chuck. How are you today?
I'm doing absolutely wonderful. I appreciate you taking the time to be here. We were just talking very briefly. I think that what you guys are doing for the industry and for cash flow problems is definitely a game changer. So we'll kind of get started with IINK. Tell me a little bit about IINK. Tell me about what you guys do, and we'll just kind of spiderweb off of that if it's cool.
Yeah, absolutely. So Ink is a payments platform that we have built out of, I think, just frustration of dealing with the hassles of a multi-party claim check as restoration professionals. And I used to be a roofer. I moved down to Florida and took a job as a salesperson for a roofing company and learned a lot here, especially with all the storms that we have and all the claim volume that was happening back then. It's certainly lightened up a lot these days ever since Hurricane Ian. But back in 2016, it was, um, a pretty big industry. And so in that, I had learned that the claim payment process with multi-party checks was just terrible. It was a cumbersome process. It was taking up a lot of my time. I'd have to drive around town just to pick up checks. We'd have to mail them off to the mortgage companies and then deal with their nonsense. Um, and it's, I hate to say that, but I think that loss draft isn't really a money-making division of the bank, so they don't throw a lot of resources towards it. And unfortunately, you're dealing with human error and things of that nature. So I understand their issues and what they're dealing with over at those companies, but uh, just getting sick of that chasing the money, as we called it. And my good friend and business partner Ken Lawler, he's a public adjuster. He and I used to work together. We'd have mutual clients, obviously, and um, just in our times that we were up on the roof talking about this and that, what's going on with the companies and the process. We started talking about the issues with the checks, and we got together on Sunday, September 11th, 2016, and we were watching a football game, drinking a beer, and Ken said, I think that we should kind of combine our experiences, go find some guys in technology, and let's build a better way to facilitate this claim payment, because to us it was ridiculous that we were still dealing with the paper check back in 2016. And even then, statistics were that in the United States over 13 billion interbank checks were being printed every single year yet. So checks aren't going away. The rate at which they are, I guess you could say, expiring is certainly not at a extremely rapid rate. So they're going to be around for a while. And we just wanted to bring some relief where we think it's due. And certainly a property claim and somebody having to go through a catastrophic event and where they've lost everything, right? And your insurance company comes out and covers the loss, sometimes, but they, sorry, I have to joke about that after last night's 60
I was going to
minutes.
say,
But
if anybody's unaware of what we're talking about, there was a huge expose on 60 Minutes last night that was basically showing the adjuster that had written up a great scope of loss for the homeowner, and it basically got chopped into bitty, tiny little pieces. And I thought it was kind of interesting that they kept his name on all the paperwork as though it was his work, but You know, that's part of the frustration of it. And you really hit the nail on the head with cash flow. I mean, we're in a situation now with our industry where it is so drawn out. It takes so long that if you're a company that doesn't have, you know, several $1,000,000 in reserves to kind of keep floating, paying your material bills, paying your crews, paying your people, it's very easy to get yourself in trouble here. And I think that's going to continue to get worse as we go forward. But you've provided something that allows the relief for the companies, for the people that are now able to continue the cash flow. Tell me a little bit about, you know, like you said, you guys are just sitting there drinking a beer, playing football or watching a football game. And it's like, hey, dude, we need to do this. So I realized from 2016 to now, a lot of things have transpired. You can't just go like this and have IINK, the platform, the guy with the badass Jeep and all that stuff. So what happens when you guys make that decision? What does the first steps of this look like? And how do you go about, you know, becoming a valid option in the market from, you know, basically just two dudes, a roofer and a public adjuster? You're going to take on this huge deal. How does that look in the very beginning? And what did you guys do to get yourself out there?
So for the first several months, we did a lot of just R&D and trying to find out if anything like what we were proposing existed. We, you know, whiteboarded a lot of things out and walked through the process, kind of mapped everything out, how we would build it, ultimately without a check, or how we would move the information. At least we didn't really know, you know, how the transaction would occur. Um, and I didn't have any experience building any technologies before or payments companies before, so I didn't know anything of the tech side. But fortunately, I knew some folks that did, and so we actually at the time we're working a hurricane. It was the first hurricane that hit Florida, I think, in 9 years. It was Hurricane Matthew, um, and so twice a week, Ken and I would get together, and we would, you know, work on the business. We would try to figure out everything that we could about getting the company up and running. We even, you know, the first name of the company wasn't IINK, believe it or not. It was something else that was taken, and we had to go back and change some things around on all the proposals and business plans and things that we had put together marketing wise already. But kind of a small cog in the wheel in retrospect. But um, yeah, we put a proposal together. We reached out to a friend of mine that I knew for quite some time, and knew that he had pretty good knowledge around tech and had some friends in tech up in Boston. And that was Ryan Wetzel. Um, and so we brought Ryan on to kind of help with the, you know, all things technology side of the business. And he was acting as, you know, CTO for a few years, and ultimately he introduced us to um, an advisor. His name was Tom McGrath, and Tom, right around COVID, you know, a lot of folks had kind of their world turned upside down, and people that were going to the office weren't going to the office anymore. And Tom found himself having a lot of extra time in his hands. He was able to jump in to the business, start helping out. And we had, you know, by this point gone out. We had raised, you know, Ken Lawler and I and Wetzel had raised close to 900,000 just to kind of keep the company going and build out a proof of concept and do things manually, just to show that there's a need in the marketplace, right? And validate that a solution is needed, because nobody's going to give us, you know, $2.5 million to go build this idea, even though we knew it's needed by everybody. Everybody kept telling us, like, I can't believe nobody's thought of this before. And I think that other companies have tried, and there's been other solutions out there. There's, you know, factoring companies that are nailing you over the head for 10-20% of your receivables, and that's just ridiculous for uh, especially for an industry that is already tight on a cash crunch. So how you gonna run a profitable business just losing 10% right off the bat? And we knew statistically that most of those excuse me, most of those funds can move in, less than 2 to 3 weeks anyway, even the hard way. So, you know, you don't need to lose all of your or a good portion of your profits just because you want your money today. You just need to manage your books a little bit better,
That's
and have
kind
the
of like
tool
the old,
have the tools to deal with the financial aspects of your accounts receivables. So
yeah, I think that's very, very important. And it's almost like some of the roofers have that, I don't want to call it like the pawn shop mentality or whatever, but it's like, money is one of those things that sometimes they don't quite have figured out, get into some situations. And like you said, this solves a huge problem for people in business so that they can continue to be in business and thrive and develop and grow. And you saw the need. I was shocked by this as well when I first met you guys, because I was like, dude, why has nobody done this before? But I guess there are always going to be, the prehistoric opportunities that people took that didn't work, that we'll never hear about. You guys found the way to make it hit and strike it big. But to me, I also look at this and I say, okay, you've talked about credibility, you've talked about getting into this, and it's been very difficult on the front end just to prove that this is a viable concept. And once you get all of those ducks in a row, you get everything funded and financed, and you're ready to start moving. What is the the time frame from now? We've got our money, we're ready to start developing this program, to getting it out into the market and actually serving people. What did that window look like?
so we launched the service. Let me back up a second. So September 11th, 2016 is when we had the first conversation, just Ken and I. January, I think it was January 7th. It was the first week in January of 2017. We formed an entity and start building out the concept. I think we brought Wetzel on in February, and we launched service, I think, June or July of that summer of 2017. So we had at least a website up and a place that people could submit information. And I mean, it was nothing like what we have today. It wasn't a web app or anything like that. We obviously weren't anything more than just a a service based, like TPA like business, where we were processing these checks in and out of lost draft departments the long way, but at least we were doing it and the contractor wasn't, or the public adjuster wasn't. Um, and that's what we used to kind of build enough of a confidence in the investing world that we could go out and raise more money, raise VC backed money, which now we have. I think I've lost count of how many VCs we have on our cap table, but um, our seed round we raised back in 2020, and we had, that's 3 years in from forming the company. And keep in mind, we're just going through the pandemic right then, but it took us a while to find the right banking partners, start building out a banking integration, actually have the pay rails to move checks like a bank does and do it remotely. So, um, 3 years after having started the business, we raised our seed round and brought on our very first in-house developer, Ken Schweikert, and I think it was in a year and a half, 2 years later, then Tom was able to, after COVID, a year after COVID, Tom was able to come on full time, and he's taken over the role as CEO since.
Nice. And that's what the ultimate goal is to get the team in place, because you're getting ready to do something massive. You find the right people, you put them in place, you've got everything set up, and now it's like, all right, guys, how do we get this out to the roofers? How do we get this out to the contractors? How do we get our name out there so people start utilizing the service? And I know you guys are outstanding as far as going out to events. We met at Business 411 over in Fort Lauderdale last year. You're at the roofer events. I think I saw you at Win the Storm this year as well. You guys are all over the place. But it doesn't just start like that. You don't just get out into the market. You had to kind of chip your way in. Tell me a little bit about getting the very first bit of exposure with contractors and some of the people that you reached out to, some of the methods that you used within the industry, because obviously you've got the background in roofing a little bit, as does Ken. But what did you guys do to, reach out to some of the companies that you've partnered up with, some of the people that you've, developed the relationships with? And how did that all work on the front end, getting your name into the industry, really?
Oh, come on, Chuck. We're roofers, so we went door
Yeah, that's
knocking.
true. We all know
We
each
went door
other.
knocking. No, we went door knocking.
That's a good move, right? It does work, folks.
That's what we did. We started going around to local roofing companies in the area and just showing up and talking to them. And Ken was talking to people within his network as a public adjuster, and we just started spreading the word through people that we knew. I think eventually we started hiring salespeople that came on, and they started helping spread the word. But ultimately, we started going to conferences in 2018, and the very first conference that we went to was the Wind conference, and that's more of an insurance and carrier based conference, but or public adjusters, and property attorneys also go to get their C's. But we went there thinking like, let's just go and get some feedback from the industry as to what they think about this product or this service, or what we're ultimately trying to build. And we ended up going there and coming out with customers. So it was kind of surprising. Like, people were like, "Yo, this is awesome!" And how do we sign up? So not obviously we got great feedback. We learned a lot from all the potential interest, and knowledge that we had gained just from meeting other folks and seeing the other products. We also decided to focus on one core aspect of the business. We had initially thought that we were going to include a supplementing type service in the into the model, and then we realized like there was too much of that already in the industry, so why even try to compete? But I'm so glad that we made that decision, because the next conference we went to was IRE. And when we went to IRE 2018, that was in, I think, New Orleans. And we thought to ourselves, all right, now we're going to go and get a bunch of customers, because we just went to the first conference looking for feedback, but we got customers. So now we're thinking, oh, we're going to get customers, and we did. We got a ton of interest, but more so than the customers, we got a lot of inter-industry partnerships. I remember that's when I first met Michael Gogan. We were right next to Company Cam's booth, and this was early Company Cam days, and Gogan was on the floor hustling with I'm trying to think of who else was there. I know Luke was there, but anyway, Gogan's, proud to say, I mean, he's with IINK now, and he's our VP of revenue. But we made a lot of partnerships at that event, and that was the most surprising part of our journey. Troy Clymer, and Eric Kepler from Balance Claims, we became very good friends. And Eric, of course, has unfortunately passed away since, but still great friends with Troy to this day. But we just made so many friendships there. And then When the Storm was the third one we went to, and that was just nuts, because then we had so many people that came up, and they were excited for what we were building. They were excited for the service, and quite frankly, like, we didn't have enough of us to service all of it. And so we kind of took a step back. We go, all right, we know we can get customers. This is not a problem, right? Let's figure out how we get the help that we need. And we focused on building out then the banking integration, getting that done, and kind of going back to market right when we were raising our seed round of funding, so that we could show that, okay, we got the viable business model, we've got revenue, let's get the money that we need in the door so we can make the hires to really grow this thing.
And I love that. And all the hard work, all the effort that goes into that, it's very lightly regarded by most people, because they just think, well, you must have just started this thing up and, snapped your finger and here it is. But there's a ton of work that goes into that. And with anything you build, but you're building a transformational program that's going to impact the entire industry, multiple industries. And the question I always have for people that start things like this, I've had a lot of people that have started things from scratch that have become very successful in that early period. You hit on it. Like, you go to an event and you're kind of surprised by the feedback. Like, oh crap, we got a bunch of customers coming in. At any point in those early days, were you kind of a little bit worried that maybe it was going to get too big for you to be able to handle? And I know you said you took a step back, but obviously that was probably something that was prompted by the activity that had happened before. At any point, did you guys think, oh my gosh, we're not going to be able to fulfill the promises? We don't have enough manpower to do what we're saying we're going to be able to do because it hit so fast. Did any of that come into play at all in those early days when you were just getting out into the market and getting the attention of the consumers?
Oh yeah, I think that's going to happen with any business or any service that has demand. You're going to have growing pains, right? So trying to figure out how do you scale up a company that's or service or product that's never existed before is you're not really reinventing the wheel. You're kind of inventing a new wheel, and it's just how you learn to grow. So you've got to run into situations where you have too many customers, or else you're not. If you don't break the system, how do you know?
Yeah,
You
that
know
it's working, right?
where yeah. How do you know where the infrastructure is weak? How do you know what the customers really want next? You know, we we had an idea and we knew everything that we needed to build, but it was really figuring out what to build next. And we had a lot of bumps and bruises, especially in the beginning, and especially when we first launched our app, because we wanted to get something into the hands of our users, and you got to launch a beta, and even with the beta, you're trying to educate, your beta users how to use the system and walk them through all the steps, and then getting their feedback, and then building out new features. It's a lot of back and forth. But yeah, you absolutely. I mean, I tell everybody, say like I greatly appreciate just the support and um, the ongoing wave of support from our customers that have stuck with us through even the hardest times, because they see the future. They know what we're building. They understand that this solve is going to change the way business is done in this industry. It's going to change the way people get back to normal when it matters most. And I'm thinking about all the folks right now that are going to be rebuilding from Hurricane Helene, and just where are those checks going? Where are you going to mail those checks? I mean,
There
what
may
are we
not be a
talking
building
about here?
there anymore.
There aren't. There are entire towns wiped away in North Carolina. Where are you going to send the money? And I can guarantee you that a lot of those had mortgages, and I can guarantee you those are going to be payments that are encumbered with mortgage endorsements in multiple parties. And there's the only way that you can do it without a check is our platform. So, how are these people going to get back to normal? And that's why we do what we do, because at the end of the day, the check is fucking stupid.
Right. It's antiquated, it's outdated, and it is what it is. I know people that don't even know how to fill out checks in modern times, but here we are doing hundreds of millions of dollars in revenue across the board. And like you say, like, we're going to fill this out and put a stamp on it and send it somewhere. And we're going to hope that it gets there. But times have changed, and a lot of people are resistant to change. A lot of people say, well, you know what? If it ain't broke, don't fix it. But it is broke. And you've just hit the nail on the head as far as how
Yeah.
broken it really is. And we're talking, disaster prone areas where people are suffering tremendously. And any bit of relief that they can get, any amount of time that they can get back from this process that's completely destroyed their entire life, it's worth who knows? You can't even put a price tag on that. So I really appreciate what you guys are doing, not just for our end of the industry, but for the homeowners, for the people that are in the predicaments that they're in, because, they need help. And
They do.
it's good to know honest people are here willing to help them and have created a platform to do so. So thank you guys for that. Let's jazz it up a little bit, my friend. Let's talk about your your marketing with IINK. You guys have some badass swag. You've got the greatest shirts. I showed you. I got the hat back here. You've got a vehicle that is probably the coolest vehicle in the industry with your Jeep. You got the RV and all that stuff. So you guys are all about the swag and about the flash and getting your name out there. But it's not one of those programs where you think, okay, this is cool. This guy should be driving a huge Jeep around and like, really flaunting. What was the mindset behind that? Besides, just let's get as much attention as possible, or was it just that you and Ken always wanted to drive a badass Jeep and now you had the opportunity? Or, what was the mindset behind the way you guys have branded the company to be as out there and in your face as you guys are?
It was really just purely a marketing play, from the sense that, we would go to conferences and we would see the same shit over and over and over. I told, and in fact, I told Ken in the very beginning, I said, our colors have to be just obnoxiously noticeable. And that's why we picked lime green in the very beginning. It's a different hue of green now, and we got a different logo. But in the beginning, we just wanted everybody to see us. You go to these conferences, you'd see, gray, blue, black, white. It was all, all the same dull colors. And so we'd come and set up with our lime green, and you'd see us from all the way down at the end of the aisle. So that was the first thoughts. And then as the brand kind of grew, and we got some money in the door, we said, how do we really just go make a big splash? And we thought, well, why don't we, how do we get everybody's attention at these events? What's the best way to do it? Well, let's not get a truck. Everybody does the truck. We're from Florida. Let's do the Jeep. And so we, Ken reached out to SoFlo Jeeps, and we had a just custom build done. Around the same time, we're planning on doing a lot of traveling. So the RV was kind of a, not just a marketing decision. It was 100 foot of billboard to begin with, but it was also where we stayed for a lot of events. So we saved costs there. And we thought, if we're traveling, we already have the expense, but American Airlines is going to put the IINK sticker on the side of their plane while we're pulling into the airport. And so that's why we got the the bus. We're actually in the process of selling the bus, because we're not using it as much as we were. So we don't just have toys just to have toys and show off. Certainly it's marketing. But the Jeep, the day we picked it up, we were sitting in SoFlo Jeeps, and we were talking to one of the service managers. Got off the phone with Luka Doncic's manager, because he wanted an apocalypse, and he was calling to get a Jeep from them the same day we were picking our Jeep up. And we knew this thing's going to get attention. And so after Ken and I picked it up, it wasn't wrapped or anything. It was just all white, but that thing was bad to the bone. We drove it, and they told us while we're there, they're like, you're going to get more attention than every other supercar in the streets right now. Trust me. And so we left the dealership, and we drove it down to Key West, and I have video of people taking just video and pictures of us from the street. That thing I've never seen so many people look at it. Looked over at Ken. I was like, well, it was worth every penny, because this is gonna do exactly what we got it for. And we got that thing wrapped, and that's our booth. We just take it to most of the shows, and more people stop and talk to us with that thing than just the backdrop, right? You gotta be able to get people's attention. So that's what it was for. It certainly has paid in dividends, and we'll be keeping the Jeep around. It's in the garage, in fact, right now. But
that was my question: is if it was your daily driver?
It's not my daily. No, it's not my daily. If I'm going out to, sometimes the guys take it out hurricane chasing, but if I go to an event, we'll take it to the event. You'll see it at RoofCon this year. We'll have it there, but we do take it out to events every once in a while. I just, business only in that thing. My dailies, my dailies at I have a WRX STI. So
All right. Well, that's a fair trade-off, I suppose. I'd be happy to switch off. So that works. Let's talk about it. So you've got your marketing on point. You're hitting the events. You're getting contractors into the system. Now you've got a viable program that everybody knows about. Everybody recognizes you when you come to the events. What does IINK look like now, today, in modern times? How many contractors, how many people do you have in your system that you're servicing on a regular basis around the country? And the biggest question I always love is I remember you said a number a year and a half ago when I was in Fort Lauderdale. How much revenue or how much money have you helped move through IINK since your inception? And yeah, I guess that's the question. How much money have you guys moved as far as being able to help people continue their cash flow and do what the system was provided to do?
It's over a billion, and we I know it hasn't been as busy, especially in Florida. You know, Florida's tapered off after Hurricane Ian, and we have a high concentration here of customers. So, you know, the volume hasn't been as crazy as it was last year. You know, last year we were hitting peaks somewhere of between 60 and 80 million a month in processing, and so we still get close to that. But I would imagine after Hurricane Helene here, things are gonna, you know, be back up there. And we have a lot. We also have a lot of big PE-backed conglomerates that are jumping on board here. We're just in the process of working out some pricing, you know, pricing models that are more suitable to their sort of volume, and launching new features. I mean, we have so much going on. We have new features coming out that are going to help along with more parts of the payment process. We have partnerships on the you know, carrier claims management software side, as well as the mortgage servicing side. So here pretty soon we'll be able to fully test an entirely digital payment and move all the information to the parties that need it digitally. Um, but you know, until we get there, still doing everything we can from every angle so that we can provide relief to this payment process. Because I think there's a lot of data and insights that restoration professionals can benefit from, just understanding, you know, things like, hey, when was the check sent from the carrier? Or um, you know, what's the average turnaround time for this carrier on depreciation? Or even having the ability to submit depreciation direct to the carrier system instead of letting it sit in a claims inbox that is, you know, wholly filled with a bunch of emails that need to be sorted through, and sits on a DA's pile of things to do, right? So we just want to make lives easier for everybody. It's not just our industry. It's not just the insureds. It's all the carriers and the mortgage companies as well. We're going to be, you know, saving them time, saving them money, and just making it a better experience for everybody. So we're excited for all the traction that we have, and the movement that we have on those fronts. Our head of those partnerships, Jeremy Carsman's been doing an incredible job, and we even have conversations going with someone else. I came in. I mean, I can't say who it is, and even if I hinted at it, you would know who it is. So I'm not even going to say anything. But a company where we could literally just give everybody access to this payment immediately when, you know, when they so need it, and it'll be up to the carriers to make that decision. So in these situations where people's houses are floating down the mountain, literally floating down the mountain, you know, how are you even thinking about mailing a check to these individuals? How are you even thinking about it? So, you know, we'll see some movement here soon.
I like it. And I think that's the wonderful trend. You guys are on the front end, and you guys have done something to really benefit everybody. Everyone wins with IINK. And I think that's the really cool part about it. You can always kind of look at things and say, well, yeah, but there's got to be some kind of other reason for all this stuff. But you guys did it to help people, and you've accomplished that goal in a relatively short period of time. And as you continue to grow and develop the company, it's only going to get better. It's only going to get stronger. So the last question I have about IINK and about the business aspect of things is, what does that plan look like for you guys? What is the plan moving forward 5 years from now, maybe 10 years from now? Is this something you guys are planning to build up? Or are you looking to get to a certain point and escape or exit? I guess escape is what we say on the roofing side. But what does the plan look like as far as that goes?
Slightly accurate.
Yeah.
No, of course, everybody, well, not everybody, but, I think a lot of entrepreneurs always enjoy the idea of exiting at a certain point. And when that day comes, it comes. But until then, we're not going to stop until we solve the problem. And it's a silly problem for everybody to be dealing with in the first place. I think it's just a matter of connecting all the dots properly. And so our focus is integrations, whether that be the customer side, the carrier side, the mortgage company side. Everybody to us, in my opinion, is a customer. If you can come onto the platform and you can benefit from the platform, you're a customer. The more the merrier, right? Because the more people that we have on the platform, the more opportunities we have to move the data and the money seamlessly. You can't do it. We can't just jump on with one carrier and not have any exposure on even the contractor side or the mortgage company side and expect them to issue digital payments. They're not going to change things around to send out 3 digital payments a year out of 40,000 claims.
Right.
We have to be able to service a vast majority of those and have the network to do it. So that's really what we're doing is just building and completing that network of integrations. It's obviously a lot. We understand that, for example, the roofing industry and all restoration professionals, in my opinion, they have a platform that they're working out of. So we're working on integrations right now with Claims Wizard on the public adjusting side. I see some obviously future integration opportunities with, let's say, Jobnimus in the roofing and restoration side, and perhaps Clio on the attorney side. And then on the carrier side, we're partnered with a company called Snapsheet. So we're excited for that claims management software integration that we're currently working on. That's going to allow us to do things like automated depreciation requests and digital payments straight from the carrier on multi-party payments. And really just from a UI UX perspective, building things out to look more like Venmo for restoration professionals. I know our good friends over at Square Dash, they've built out a fantastic platform for getting advances on the receivables, and through the partnership that we have with them, we'll be able to deliver those funds much faster when you need it, and when you don't have access to them like we all want them. We all want to have the funds faster. I don't think there's anybody in this scenario or this industry or any of these industries that we service that wants to receive their money slower. And we just want to keep things. We just want to make sure everybody has every available outlet. So that's what we're up to, and that's how we plan to continue to dominate this space. We just want to solve for property claim payments. Of course, the technology is applicable to other areas, and we've had those conversations. We'll see where the vertical takes us, but for now, I think there's plenty of room to run here in property claims.
Yeah, absolutely. Tons of opportunity for sure. I look forward to watching it continue to grow and develop and be a massive player in not just this industry, but around the world with everything. One last question about business. I said we were done with that, but if anybody's watching our show today, I always joke and say millions of people are going to watch this. It may be, 200 years down the road before we get the millionth set of eyes, but someone's watching this. They're a roofing contractor. They're a small company, and they see what you've got to offer, and they say, hey, wait a minute, this solves our biggest issue. What's the best way to go about getting linked up with you guys? Are there qualifications that are required for companies? What does it take to get involved with IINK as a contractor?
So really you just need to go to IINK.com, IINK.com. And there's a sign up button on the website there. Everybody who's on the IINK platform that originates payments must go through our verification process, which is essentially a bank level underwriting. We're going to verify that you're a legitimate business. We're going to make sure you have a US based business bank account. We're going to make sure that you've got the right insurances that you need. We're going to make sure that you've got uh, a W-9 so that we can, supply that whenever needed to the necessary entities. But all they get submitted over, we verify the ownership of the business. Um, of course, as you can imagine, we don't want to have, one person out of three owners that are knowingly depositing checks into an account that only they have control of and nobody else in the business does. So we verify everybody that's owner in the business, and it's a quick, painless process. Takes 24 to 48 hours at max. Um, but once that's complete, then you're free to start originating payment requests on the platform. And it's pretty cool because you can save yourself a lot of time from even having to run around to pick checks up. You don't have to have your customer go, take that check to the bank. You can have them remotely deposited to your account. You can split the check multiple ways if you have multiple recipients. So if you got a public adjuster, it's receiving 10% and the contractor's getting another 90%, you can do that. And we don't even charge for checks out of the mortgage company right now. So it's a free service if there's no mortgage company on that check, for the time being. And then for checks with a mortgage company, it's only 1%. We cap it at $2.99. So that way, for large loss, you're never paying more than $2.99, and that includes FedEx labels to and from the mortgage company if we got to send it off to them. So here pretty soon, we hope to have mortgage companies, larger mortgage companies that a lot more people are familiar with, on these checks endorsing digitally, so that we don't have to mail them off and potentially have them get lost in the mail or anything like that. So we're excited for that. But just, you know taking this brunt off of the insured and off of um, restoration professionals, roofers in particular, who are dealing with high volume, and I'm sure have a lot more important things to do than sit on hold with the bank for 30 minutes before they hear that the bank doesn't have their waiver of lien that they know they sent, right?
There you go. I mean, I see no reason why everybody in the industry should not sign up with Ink today. So after this episode, go ahead and do that. You about to adjust the lights, my friend?
I am. It's getting a little dark in here. I know
It's all
I know we were just
good.
about to stop talking business, get a little intimate, but let me get some lights in here.
Yeah, when we get intimate, we turn the lights on here at Keeping It Rio. Everything is opposite day for us.
There we go.
There you go. Look at that guy, everybody. There you have it. So, Ryan, man, like I said, I really appreciate Ink. I appreciate everything you guys are doing for everybody, for mankind. But I also wanted to have you on Keeping It Rio today as a friend, as a guy that I've known in the industry for a little while. Like I said, about a year and a half or so ago, we met. And one thing that really caught me about you was you were fun to hang around with. The guys from Ink were cool. We went out to dinner and had a good time, and just, we're cutting up and enjoying it. And from that, I've kind of followed you on social media channels and things like that, especially TikTok. And if anybody doesn't know Ryan Holliday on TikTok, you need to follow this guy because he's got some pretty entertaining stuff going on. And I've enjoyed your content. It's lighthearted. It's great. But my friend, there was a video that I saw a couple weeks ago, and it wasn't lighthearted, and it was kind of a serious thing. And I wanted to kind of talk to you a little bit about this because, like I said, I respect you. I think very highly of you. I think you're one of the most liked people in our industry. And when we see our friends are maybe having a little bit of a problem, we want to do whatever we can to rally around them. So tell me a little bit about what's going on with your health. I know you had a little bit of a situation, and I want to bring some light to it and see if, maybe somebody in this industry can step up and say, hey man, let's do something to help this man. But tell us a little bit about what's going on with you on the personal side.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that. So I have stage 4 polycystic kidney disease, and it's a hereditary uh, disease that I got from my mother. She unfortunately had it, and um, she passed away back in 2011. But I didn't expect to have to deal with it as early as I am. But the good news on that front is that I feel like I'll probably be a better candidate for a kidney transplant because I'm younger. Because as you get older, you're just more susceptible to certain things going under anesthesia, and it just becomes a little bit riskier. So I am grateful that I'm dealing with this now and I can kind of take it head on. But my mom was in her 60s when she was to the point of needing dialysis, and unfortunately, she passed. But it was from other things that she had succumbed to, and in combination with her kidney problems. But um, that was no fun seeing her go through it. And for me, I just I stay as positive as I possibly can, because I actually had a conversation about it today with one of our account executives, Joe, and Joe Natho, and he was kind of surprised you know how positive I was about the whole scenario. But at the end of the day, the first thing that you got to keep under control in these situations is your mindset. And if anything's going to bring you down, it's that. So I always just remember to myself, I've got better chances. Certainly I take care of myself much better than my mother did. She was, smoking cigarettes and drinking quite a bit. I don't smoke any cigarettes. I drink maybe, I don't know. I have one drink once a month nowadays. I've changed my diet, pretty dramatically. So I'm doing all the right things, and it's a pretty common procedure, believe it or not, to have a kidney transplant. We have someone on our team, Falco Rodriguez, who donated his kidney to somebody so his sister, he actually did a swap. His sister needed a kidney. He couldn't donate it directly to her. He wasn't an exact match. He was able to do a swap where he donated his kidney and then she got a kidney. So, um, I do have hope that I'm sure I'm able to get on the list now that I'm stage 4. And the bad part about it is I got to go through dialysis until I get a new kidney put in, but just got to swap some parts out real quick and we'll be back to good.
That's
So
it, my friend.
it's um, there's some challenges that I got to deal with along the way with the surgery and the having a catheter put in so that I can get the dialysis. You know, big difference from what my mom had to deal with. My mom had to go 3 days a week and get it was 3 days a week, 4 hours a session, and she would sit in a facility and get it done. And she just hated that, and I hated seeing her go through that. But I'll be able to do mine at home, so that's exciting. But the bad news of having that catheter in is I can't go swimming in the ocean. And if you've been watching my TikToks lately, I was swimming with dolphins yesterday. So uh, I'm kind of a water baby. But I much rather stick around so that I can go swimming again after I get a new kidney. But
Yep.
things
I
like
tell you,
that, and the diet. And so truthfully, Chuck, it's a mental thing. Um, I take it serious, and I just stay positive, because that's all you can do.
yeah, I
Even
mean,
in worst case scenario, you got to stay
that's
positive.
right. And I admire that tremendously. That's the thing that I really, really wanted to impress upon everybody is I was shocked because you do have such a vibrant personality, and you're super likable, and you're funny, and you've got a good energy and all that. And when I saw the video, I was just like, is that real? Like, I almost was caught off guard by it there for a second. And I want to speak on behalf of everybody in our industry. Ryan, we love you, dude. Like, you have made something for us that we will be able to benefit from, but that's got nothing to do with life. And the guy, like I said, that we get to hang out with at the events, the guys that are really fun to be around. And we're all rooting for you. Everybody in this industry, I can speak for every single human being in the roofing industry that, we're rooting for you. And I wanted to ask, is there anything that we collectively as an industry can do to help you?
Well, I mean, if anybody's got A negative blood type and an extra kidney, I
That's what I'm throwing out there.
I don't
I'm
know.
reaching for kidney transplants on Keeping It Rio.
Other than that, there's, um, Yeah, I honestly, I don't, I don't know the process just yet. I have to go to it's kind of like a 1 day class that I go to up at Tampa General Hospital and learn about the transplant. My nephrologist actually told me, when he was kind of briefing me on it, he said, people go and they go for a day, and then they really decide if they want to transplant. I'm like, what do you mean really decide if they
Yeah,
want to
what?
transplant? Why would they not want a new kidney, doc? And he said, well, people change their mind for some reason. So I think that there are some things that I'll learn. I think there's some dietary restrictions or certain things that I'm gonna have to abide by just for the rest of my life. I just, it's a complete lifestyle change. But um, I think when you really think about it, as a human race, we so many times just uh, consciously or unconsciously make poor decisions every single day, and we could just have a slightly different mindset, and it would dramatically change the course of our health, the course of our wealth, the course of you know just every single prosperity that you can have in life. And it's a simple decision. So I'm sitting here talking about it like it's going to be a huge challenge, when in reality it's just making the decision of eating the right things so that I can live longer. But we become creatures of habit, and unfortunately, it's I think a big part of our downfall as society. So, and I'm included in that bucket. I think we all are at some point.
Oh yeah,
Unless we're David Goggins, right? And unfortunately, I think people just sometimes they don't have that mental fortitude. Sometimes they don't have that drive, or they just feel like they want to give up. And the first thing I decided when I knew the dialysis was coming was like, I'm just going to stay positive. I'll make content about it. Why not? Let's talk to other people about it, because they need to understand that no matter what you're going through in life, medical things that are certainly probably going to be the hardest things to get through. And what else can you do but be positive? Because
that's it.
if you're not, you're dragging yourself down. You're dragging your body down.
Yeah,
So,
and I
and you
think
and,
you.
and you're going to drag everybody else down around with you. So the best I can do right now, of the shitty kidneys that I got, is be is be a source of knowledge for everybody else that's going to go through it. And if you know somebody that is going through it, or uh, you just want to learn more about kidney disease, let me know. I'll share what I know. I'm going to start posting more about on TikTok. I know I dropped that one video. I have another follow-up video I'm going to drop on TikTok. I may even just start a separate channel just to focus on that, because people want to know that they're not alone going through this, me included, right? And I'm sure I'm going to learn some things. I want to know how other people are getting away with going swimming in the ocean. Let me know if you ain't got a kidney. If you get a tip on that, that's going to be, for me, that's going to keep me going.
Yeah, right. So
But
there you go. We can all do our part, even if it's just a thumbs up or a hey bro, we're here with you. We're cheering
right.
you on. We love you.
I appreciate it
Just
so
hearing
much.
those things.
I really appreciate it.
Well, it's true, and your personality is what fostered that entire mindset for all of us. So you being the guy that you are, and the person that you are, and the personality, and all that stuff, it makes people just want to cheer and want to say, "Hey, man, we're here with you through the entire process." Obviously, we're not with you through the entire process, but just knowing that there are people that are showing support, sometimes can it can be the difference in success and failure. So I want to do what we can as a group to stand behind Ryan, to stand behind anybody who's facing this, because I know a lot of people. My mom, when she passed away, one of the things was kidney failure as well. So it's near and dear to my heart. Her lifestyle was not good. I don't remember my mom in my entire life. I don't think I saw my mom drink water, not once. And it's like, I learned a lot from her. I do not drink soda because of that. And to me, that's the way that I can kind of honor her legacy. I want to not end up the way that was, because I saw what that did. And, you know, with you, there's going to be several people that you're going to find throughout the next couple of years that are going to say, hey man, I've been there. I'm in the same situation. You're not alone. And just knowing that, like I said, is very meaningful. So that truthfully was the main reason I wanted to have you on Keepin It Rio, was so I could tell you that we are all standing behind you. We are all going to have your back. And if there's anything that any of us can do for you, again, I speak for the whole industry, and I don't care if anybody doesn't like that, because if you don't like this, then get the hell out of the industry. Right. So that's kind of the mindset that I have about this. And we're coming up on our hour. This went by really quickly. I appreciate you taking the time to explain IINK. I definitely really appreciate you getting into your personal situation there and really, being very honest and truthful and forthcoming, because it's going to help somebody down the road that you don't even know. You're going to meet somebody down the road that's going to say, hey, because of you, I was able to survive this. So thank you for that, Ryan. In closing, my friend, I always like to ask this. What words of wisdom? You're a very wise man. I watch your TikToks. You're extremely wise. You got all kinds of funny quips and things. What's a good way for us to end episode 183 of Keepin It Rio? And yeah, that's pretty much what I'm asking you. What's a good way for us to end this? Give us some words of wisdom to close it out. That's a tough question.
I'll translate that right now. Words of wisdom to close it out. Well, I would say that when you're going through your day to day and you're thinking about the problems that you're dealing with, just remember there can always be a worse one. And so just keep your head up, grind through it, keep a positive mindset, and you have the ability to do that. Anybody who's living a life of frustration, living a life of anger, living a life of just negativity, you can change that. You have the ability to change that. And so make the choice just to stay positive and keep going.
That's it. And you know what? I'm going to share just a quick story before I end this, because I was inspired by you today before we even spoke. I got up this morning. I do every day, and I go to the gym. There's a Crunch Fitness here in San Antonio. It's a couple miles from my house. And I've been going there for over a year. I love going there. It's a great place. Well, this morning I went, and as I walk out, I hit the little button on my key fob, right? And my car made some weird honking noise that it doesn't normally make. And instantly I thought, what the hell's going on here? Well, I opened the door, and I come to find out some douchebags broke the window out of my truck this morning at the parking lot, and they stole a bunch of stuff out of the center console. And my first thought was, oh my gosh, you can go see this on my social media. I kept it up because it actually was very engaging, and I used it for bad after the fact to get more engagement on my social media post. But I was pissed, right? And I was like, who the hell would do such a thing? And I went in there and I was like, if you guys have a camera, and that person's in here right now, like, I'm not going to do anything. But I started thinking about it, and it was like, okay, the window's broken. What is getting pissed going to do? It's not going to make the window come back. It's not going to unshatter the glass. It's not going to do any of that. I looked around and I realized these idiots didn't quite steal hardly anything. I think they got like $4 worth of change, and my $600 radar detector was about 3 inches from their face. So it wasn't such a bad deal, but I had that little brief moment, and I was like, man, this sucks, blah, blah, blah. I hate San Antonio. I'm getting ready to move out of here because there's no crime anywhere else in the world, only here, right? And I started thinking about it, and I was like, you know what? I'm going to be talking to Ryan Holliday tonight on Keepin It Rio. This guy's taking time out of his life to meet with me and spend an hour just chatting. And I knew your situation. And I thought, dude, why in the hell am I going to get so worked up over this? I literally took it to the window guy. The window guy's like, yeah, it's pretty expensive. And I said, well, it is what it is, bro. Like, it's going to cost something. And I fixed the deal. And you know what? At the end of the day, I've already pretty much forgotten about it. I know I just told the entire story, but I pretty much was able to forget about it, swipe it under the rug and say, There are bigger things in life to worry about. So I want to thank you personally for putting that perspective in my heart this morning when I was about to have a little bit of a meltdown. Ryan Holliday did come into my mind, and the little dude was sitting right here, and he said, dude, it's going to be all right, bro. Don't worry about it. One day I'll let you drive the IINK Jeep. And I thought, okay, cool. If you're going to let me drive the IINK Jeep, everything's going to be all right, buddy.
You just hop a flight over the pond, and we'll take her for a spin.
We'll make it happen. So thank you again for everything. Everybody that watches Keepin' It Rio, thank you guys. This is episode 183. I could not do it without people watching. Well, I could, but it would suck if I did that. So all the people that give feedback, all the people that watch, I really appreciate it. And as we always end our world famous greatest podcast, the corniest tagline in the history of anything is, until next time, ladies and gentlemen, keep on keeping it Rio. We'll see you guys.